software for women's health on the go, where we provide telemedicine for women, which is basically seeing a medical provider on a video stream, such as you can see me now, except for I can see you, and we can address a lot of issues. So to see if maybe you would be interested in it, make sure you go over to our website, womenshealthonthego.com, and check us out. And there is a great free ebook on how to avoid the gynecologist. It's this great little ebook that I've got, that I created, that I give to all my patients. So make sure that you get over there and sign up for it. And you get, every week we send lots of little kind of things every month in a newsletter. So make sure you get over there. So tonight, everyone, we are going to be talking about postpartum depression. And there's a couple of reasons why I want to talk about it. Typically, most of the conversations I have are about gynecological problems. And, I tend to not talk a lot about pregnancy stuff. And I think that it's really important, especially, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And postpartum depression is really, it's huge. They estimate around over 400,000 women, suffer this every year. And I think it's really important, even if you're not pregnant, you may know someone who's pregnant at some point in your lifetime. So I think it's important to kind of know about this, so that if you see symptoms in them, to help them get help, because it can be very severe. It can be really, it can change the whole family dynamics. So that's one of the reasons why it's actually even also really good when hopefully, if you know a friend that's pregnant, like I said, or if you are pregnant, hopefully you're a prenatal care provider, whoever that may be. They may even be talking to you about it. There's actually some research done that shows that providers that provided the information about postpartum depression, that it can happen, and talk about all the dynamics of it, actually, those people did a lot better in actually not getting depressed. Or if they did get, we're going to talk about, there's the baby blues, postpartum blues, and then there's postpartum depression. So we're going to talk about the two different ones of them. But we actually, those in the research that were kind of told during prenatal care that this is a possibility that this could kind of happen, there was actually a decreased incidence of postpartum depression. So it's really important that even if you know somebody who's pregnant, just to talk to them about it. Like, oh, hey, you know what? I heard sometimes after, you're pregnant, sometimes people get depressed because of their hormones and all this kind of stuff. And just, I think the whole idea of the possibility that can happen and things that they can do before to kind of prevent that from happening is really, really important. And also talking to family and friends about it. It's really important that family and their friends, after the baby's born, this is like a complete different lifestyle change. I mean, life is never going to be the same after you have a baby. It's going to be a completely different thing. And sometimes it's hard for people to adjust from one to the next. And it's really important to have that support of your family, your friends, your community, even people that you work with. It's really important. Community is very, very important. I'm actually going to be doing a couple of posts for next month about community, being social, having friends, having a social network, how important it is to our mental health. It's really, really important. And it just goes the same when it comes to postpartum depression as well. Hi, Nancy. How are you? I'm glad that you can make it. I know you haven't been able to watch in a little while, so I'm so happy to see you back. Hopefully you are enjoying and relaxing right now. And we're going to keep going. All right, so when we talk about postpartum depression, there's kind of two different two kinds that it can happen. Okay, there's the baby blues that they call them, the postpartum blues, and that typically is going to happen. It's going to be one short-lived. It's only going to probably last a couple of weeks, and it typically may happen within a couple of days after the baby's born. It'll probably peak about like that week after, and it's just it's first off, after you have the baby, it's almost like the baby comes out, and whoosh, like all the hormones go, and there's a huge drastic drop in hormones. And it's thought that the hormone drop is what can cause this. But I think it's also just, again, I've kind of mentioned before, it is a complete lifestyle change, I mean, you go from being pregnant and everything, and all of a sudden you have this little baby, and especially if you're a first time mom, maybe you'd be like, oh my God, I've got this baby. What do I do with it now? You're really kind of, overwhelmed. You're tired. You've been working hard to get that baby out, and now you got that baby out, and now the baby's crying at night. It's exhausting. It's a lifestyle change, like I said, and sometimes right after, because of those hormones and just because of everything that's kind of going on, you can get these very temporary postpartum blues, the baby blues that they call them. And typically it happens again right after the baby is born. It peaks around a week, and it usually just tapers off after 2 weeks, okay? Where when we talk about postpartum depression, that is a completely different kind of different animal, if I can say. Now, postpartum depression can develop even like after 3 months. Within the 3 months, they even talk about sometimes it can develop at some point in the first year of the baby being born. 25% of women who get postpartum depression are at risk of having chronic and severe depression for the rest of their life. So as you can see, 25%, that I think it's huge. It's a huge amount of those women that will end up, because if you think about it, if mom is having depression, it's like it changes the dynamic of the family. Sometimes people, I've seen people come in postpartum and from different extremes of postpartum depression, to the one where she just wants nothing to do with her baby. She doesn't even want to get out of bed. She doesn't want to do anything. She sits there, cries, stares, barely eats, wants nothing to do with the baby, which, that is very, that could be very hard on the family, could be hard on her, now especially if you have this baby and mom really is struggling to take care of the baby, but now dad's got to go to work, it's a huge issue. So typically women come to their gynecologist or their OB/GYN around 6 weeks after. And we always do a postpartum depression questionnaire. And it's basically 10 questions that are kind of simple. It just says, have you felt unhappy in the past, 5 days? Have you ever felt like you just don't want to eat anymore? They're just basic kind of questions, and the answers are kind of number, like there's a number score for each of them, and depending on what your score is, we'll say if you're at risk of developing postpartum depression. Now for me, sometimes when I do it, they'll have like 1 or 2 or 3. Okay, who cares? But they say like it's a really high kind of score that will put somebody at risk for having postpartum depression. But if someone has like an 8 or 9 on theirs, I'll typically kind of talk to them and just go, hey, like, how are things going? Because even though they're not, technically, at risk according to this scale, they still may be adjusting. And depending on the area that you're in, our local hospital actually has a postpartum mommies support group that is just basically for people who have just had a child and they're struggling, or they also just that this is another part of when we're going to talk a little bit later when people are going through this. One of the things is it's encouraging of go out, go for a walk. Do you have any friends that you can meet for lunch, or have family, a mom or aunt, uncle, or even just meeting with other women who are, just had a baby, maybe they're struggling as well, to get together and come together and talk to each other and support each other, which is really, really, really important. Now, the symptoms of postpartum depression, I'm going to kind of just read them because there's a lot of them, but the reason why I kind of want to read them too is because it could be a couple of them, it could be all of them, depending on too, but some of these symptoms are really, really extreme. There could be agitation, anxiety, panic attacks, clumsiness, memory loss, confusion, Loss of interest, loss in interest of getting dressed, loss of interest of the baby, like I said before, loss of interest in, everything, interest in your partner, loss of interest in the rest of your family, either a decreased appetite or maybe an extreme appetite. Some people emotionally eat. So there's that aspect as well. There's problems with insomnia, trouble sleeping at night. I couldn't think of what insomnia was there for a second. Despair, emotional numbness, like just numb, like I said, just don't even want to get out of bed, don't want to do anything. They have guilt, they're hopeless, their inability to cope with anything. Sometimes, the baby cries and they can't handle anything. The inability to basically function. Like I said, some people, it's funny. I remember this girl not long ago. She had postpartum depression. She did have it, but the one thing, and I commended her for it, she got up, she got dressed, she put her makeup on, she took a shower, and I said, there you go. I'm like, you're halfway there, because she just, she was still having a lot of other kind of symptoms, but she just says, you know what, all right, I need to at least get out of bed. I got to take a shower, put my makeup on, and get dressed. She couldn't do much after that, but I commended her for it because she kind of knew what was going on and she was just trying to do the best that she could in that situation. We had to get her more help, but it's just the little things, mood swings, like I said, memory loss, nightmares, no joy, loneliness, also feeling really lonely, especially if you think about it, first you're pregnant, everybody's all excited, and then you have the baby and everybody's there, and then all of a sudden there's a certain point when, dad's got to go to work, mom's there, mom's got to go back to her life, and all of a sudden you're just like, where'd everybody go? Like all the excitement is gone. Now they're all by themselves and they feel lonely. They feel lonely and lost, and they're not really quite sure what to do at that point. And that's, they withdraw from social contacts as well. So it can be really extreme. I mean, sometimes people have suicidal thoughts. It can get that severe. So it's really, really important to, if you have a friend or if you have a family member, if you see these kind of symptoms, I don't want to say it's a normal thing that can happen, but it can happen. You know what I mean? How does it happen? The postpartum blues, we kind of know is the drop of the hormones and stuff like that. The postpartum depression, why does it happen? The etiology of it is kind of unknown, but I don't want to say it's not normal, but it is normal because it can happen, and if it does, we've got to really recognize it because, like I said, 25% of these women are going to end up with chronic depression, severe depression, and we don't want that. That's a huge. If we can bring down that 25% to zero, that would be great, but even if we could just get it down to an extreme number, that would be really, really wonderful, okay? Now, one thing that is important is breastfeeding, okay? There is research that shows that women who breastfeed are less likely to have postpartum depression. So that's definitely an important thing. But then when it comes to treatment, even if those people who are doing breastfeeding and if they do end up with depression, when it comes to conventional medicine, it's a little bit difficult because the medications, which, the antidepressant medications are really not the best. There'll be some that will say that it's okay. A lot of the research that I read and information, it's almost like you're weighing the risk versus the benefit because of the fact that postpartum depression can, if it's left untreated, can be very detrimental. It's almost like, all right, let's weigh the risks versus the benefits. And, okay, let's prescribe things like Prozac, Zoloft, Paxil. Those are antidepressant medications. But the problem is that we don't really know the long-term effects on the baby, and so if we can avoid them, I think it's great. Or, of course, if we can go into some natural stuff instead, I think that would be even better. You know, nature's medicine. As I always do with all my shows, I always try to give you conventional. What do we conventionally treat if you go to a doctor's office? But I also like giving you the other options to open your mind to something else. Okay, so basically, conventional treatment is going to be an antidepressant medication. That's about it. Of course, I hope that whoever your provider is going to offer you and say, you know, it's probably a very good idea for you to see a counselor or some kind of therapist. Again, the local hospital that we have has a local support. You know, I think it's called Mommy's and Me, and it's just for those postpartum women. So finding your local postpartum group is great. And of course, if you're watching this show and if you're feeling this and you need help finding someone in your area, please do not hesitate to go to our website and contact me, put a post below, private message on Facebook to Women's Health on the Go. I would be more than happy to help anybody find their local group. So please, if that's the case, definitely do that. Also, I'll bet you $500. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I bet there are support groups on Facebook as well. And then there's also Meetup. I don't know if anybody's heard of Meetup. I think it's meetup.com. I'm not, I know it's Meetup, whether it's .com or something else, I'm not quite sure, but meetup.com usually has lots of groups and meetings in local areas, and I'll bet you on there as well, there's also support groups as well. So definitely, I would hope that your provider would hook you up with someone to talk about what you are feeling and what you are going on. And just to say one more thing about antidepressant medications, I don't know if you remember in the last show, I talked about antidepressants and about how most people, and I'm not encouraging this with postpartum depression, I'm not going to, because this could be really, really severe, but with with antidepressants, people who ended up taking them took longer to get through their depression as compared to if they didn't and they went to therapy and went through other modalities. Again, if you have postpartum depression, I am not suggesting that you don't take what your provider has given you. Also, you never, ever, ever want to just stop taking an antidepressant medication. The side effects of just completely just one day waking up going, okay, you know what, I don't want to take that anymore. I'm just going to move on from it. It's not worth it. You definitely want to taper yourself down. So make sure that you absolutely make sure, even if you're taking an antidepressant for any reason whatsoever, and make sure that you talk to your healthcare provider, because you just don't want to go off of it. The side effects are not pretty. Okay, so let's just talk about some natural alternative ways that we can take care of postpartum depression. As when I tell everybody when I talk about these things, this is for educational purposes, okay? If you want to do herbal medicine, or I'm going to talk about flower essence, I'm going to talk about essential oils, make sure that you talk to your healthcare provider or someone who is very versed in these things, because I don't know, I'm giving you education. I don't know what your medical situation is. If you're taking medication, sometimes it can interact with medication, or if you have other health issues, make sure that you 100% do your homework, okay? And of course, you can always reach out to me. I would definitely help you. Okay, so when it comes to herbal medicine, now the medicines that I'm going to talk about on this paper are okay with breastfeeding, okay? I didn't even look at the other stuff. Anything that had, okay for breastfeeding, I will talk about, okay? Now, there's lots of herbalists that, go over lots of different ways to treat postpartum depression. There is one herbalist that talks about, especially since I know we're talking about postpartum depression, but that postpartum blues, if that thought process it has to do with your kind of hormones and stuff, you want to help regulate those hormones. And a good way to not only help regulate your hormones, but also to help with breastfeeding is hops, which, you know, sometimes when people are having problems with breastfeeding, they say, you know, do a shot of beer, and that'll help. But you can also get herbal hops as well, and that'll help balance your hormones. It'll also help with milk production, which is an awesome thing. Now, lavender. Lavender is another one. It's a nervine relaxant. It's a sedative. Now, I'm going to talk about essential oils as well, and you can do this essential oil as well, or you can actually do lavender. I love lavender. I love lavender tea. I'm going to talk a little bit about chamomile as well. The aroma of lavender and chamomile together, the tea tends to be a little sweet, you know, without even any sugar in it. It can be actually really sweet tasting. So you just kind of want to, if you're going to make any of these kind of teas, you're going to want to make sure that you maybe put like a little bit of lavender and then some other kind of herbs, because if you put too much of it in there, one, you're probably going to go right to sleep, but two, it's really kind of, unless you really like sweet tea. Ashwagandha is actually an adaptogen. What is an adaptogen? An adaptogen is an herb that doesn't work on a specific body part. It actually just works like in general to kind of get your whole hormone regulations, your stress, cortisol levels, and everything like that to just kind of be in alliance with each other so that your body is kind of functioning better. It can deal with stress better. So ashwagandha is a great adaptogen that will also help regulate everything and how you deal with stress. And it's, again, it's going to be okay with breastfeeding. Okay. Lemon balm. Lemon balm is another one. It's a nervine. It's a sedative. We got oat straw. Oat straw I love. Oat straw is an herb. If you've seen my herbal infusion video, which is on my website, it is a herbal infusion that I absolutely love. It's very light, it's very nice tasting, and it also can help with depression, anxiety, and it can help with your sex life as well. So that's another great thing that you can add. And you can just, you know, doing an herbal infusion is basically a really, really strong tea. I have, I don't even have one of them with me, but I have just a big mason jar. I do I just fill it up with a lot of herb. It's about an ounce of the herb. And I pour hot water over it, and I cover it, and I leave it on the counter overnight, and I strain it in the morning. So that's how long it actually brews. It has lots of health benefits, so oat straw is wonderful. Motherwort is another herb. Nettle, stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is another herbal infusion. The thing with nettles, it tastes a little grassy. So you gotta kind of get used to that. I mean, you can always make just a tea. I make a herbal infusion of it, so it's been steeping overnight, so it's pretty strong. But you can definitely do nettle and passion flower. Passion flower is also like, so chamomile and passion flower also can help with anxiety as well. And then there's also ginseng, panic ginseng, which is an antidepressant herb, as you know, that can help with those. So those are just some herbs that you can look up. Of course, I always tell you, remember, I'm always telling everybody, this is for educational purposes. Make sure that you talk to someone. Either talk to your healthcare provider or talk to someone, an herbalist. I'm a women's health herbal educator as well, so you can definitely, you know, talk to me more about it. You want to make sure that everything is okay to take, okay? So just remember that. Last week I talked about flower essences, which are, as everyone, hopefully maybe you saw the show. If you didn't, make sure you go back and watch that show. Flower essences are great. They help with our mental emotions and everything. So, and like I said, from last week I was trying to explain, like, every flower essence depends on the emotion that you're kind of having. So it's really going to kind of depend on if you're having some postpartum depression. Remember, I list a whole bunch of symptoms that you can be going through. So some of the flower essence may be good for you and where the other ones might not. But I'll just go over like a couple of them just so you can kind of get the idea of what they would actually help with. So So cherry plum is like good for those who are like are just afraid of they're gonna lose their sanity, like they can't rationally cope with, changing the baby's diaper or the crying. And this is supposed to calm them, make them a little bit more rational. Elm is great for if you're feeling overwhelmed, which sometimes when you have a first baby, you're overwhelmed. You're trying to figure out everything that's going on. You're tired, you're fatigued. Everything is completely new. So elm is good for being overwhelmed. Gentian is good for, so sometimes when we're going through things, right? I'm going to take a cold, because I'll tell you how I feel when I get a cold. When I get a cold and I'm feeling completely I feel like this is never going to end. I feel like I'm going to be sick the rest of my life. I'm never going to get better. I'm never going to get better, right? I mean, at least sometimes when I get sick, that's how I feel, okay? So, and that could be with any situation, whatever situation we're going through. Sometimes it sucks. I mean, that's just the way, unfortunately, when we go through things, sometimes it's not good. But with Gentian, it's going to make you realize, you know what? I'm going through this right now, but I know there's an end to this. So there's a rainbow at the end of the tunnel, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Empathians is good for, if you're impatient, you just, I know for me sometimes I'm just okay, let's go. That's what it's very, very good for. Large is good for those who lose confidence. Maybe their first time mom and they just be like, I can't do this. I can't do this. This will help give them confidence. Olive is good for when you're physically exhausted. And walnut, yes. Walnut is great because walnut is great for when you're going through big changes. Let's suppose, it's good for this because obviously this is a big change. Life is definitely going to be different. But also for moving, for if you're going to get married, if you're no longer going to be married anymore, if you unfortunately go through a loss in your family, a walnut is very, very good for that. Okay, so let's talk about essential oils. Now, again, I'm always going to say, make sure that whatever you're going to do is safe for you, okay? Now, essential oils, and I actually, because I was going to be coming on and I was going to talk about essential oils, I actually made sure, because this is in my kitchen, but I just wanted to show everybody this is a diffuser. I actually got it on. Here, I'm going to be catching it here. But this is a diffuser. I don't know if you can see, I've got a little bit of, it's coming out. See, now I don't have it going out completely. I just have it going, woo, and it comes out a little bit. What I have in here today is frankincense. And the reason being, I'm just going to go off on a side a little bit. I sent everybody a link about this documentary series that I'm watching about the truth about cancer. And there's lots of research about frankincense and anti-cancer properties. So I just thought I would let me see what that smells like because I haven't smelt it in a while. So I've got frankincense in there. But when you're doing essential oils for anything, especially if you're having postpartum depression, it's great if you have this, it's distilled water, you put the different essential oils in there, and it just keeps going throughout the house, throughout the day. So you're always constantly almost getting, nature's medicine in the air all the time, okay? Another thing is that this is an inhaler, okay? It's, it screws on because you want to, when you have these, you want to screw on to keep the scent of the essential oil in there. But you can kind of see that there's you can kind of see there's little holes that are in there right about here, okay? And basically, there's a cotton thing inside, and you can put a combination of different, this part pops off initially, you put some drops of essential oils, you top it on there, and all you got to do is you just got to put it up to your nose, and you just breathe in the essential oils, and it goes right into the limbic system, and it's very, very good that way. And of course, you can just have a roll-on. You can put a little bit of, I'm using this, but, do a roll-on. You can do even a room spray instead if you have a bottle. This is my, I do it's a white sage. It's a little clearing essential oil spray that I have. So you can use even a room spray You can put a little bit of spray on your pillow before you go to bed. There's so many ways that you can do essential oils. But the essential oils that are kind of good, I mentioned lavender before. Lavender is really, really wonderful. I personally love lavender. Definitely. Another one that's really, really good is geranium. I don't know if you know geranium flowers. To me, I love geranium flowers. They're sweet and beautiful smelling, and they has like an antidepressant properties to it. So, see, I just love geranium. It's very, very, it's very floral. I love florals. But then, you know, lavender and like geranium, like some people, when it comes to essential oils, you want to go with those kind of things that you like. You know, I like the flower scents. You may like the citrus smells. It really depends on what you like, because sorry, like grapefruit and lemon, like grapefruit has antidepressant properties to it. Lemon does as well. You know, you just have to be careful with those, especially if you put them on your skin. They could be phototoxic, meaning that when you go out into the sun, and take it from someone who learned the hard way. I, a long time ago, was using essential oils. I used to put them on my elbow, and I used to go like this every time I put it on. And I happened to be down the beach, and I got burnt, just like things. And I kept on for the longest time going, I don't understand. Why do I have red marks just on my neck here like this? This is so weird. Yep. I learned the hard way. So you want to be careful if you're putting certain essential oils, especially the citrus ones, on your skin, because they could be phototoxic. Jasmine is another one that's got some antidepressant properties to it. I like jasmine as well. I like the floral one, so that's just me. Oh, and then orange as well. So if you're going to do the citrus kind of stuff, grapefruit, lemon, and orange, the flowers, rose, jasmine, lavender, geranium, all have antidepressant kind of properties and are really, really beautiful smelling. And then you have sandalwood and vetiver. Vetiver is like a central nervous sedative. It's going to help and relax you, where sandalwood is a little bit, it's the same thing. I'm sorry. They're both like kind of sedative kind of properties. So those are just some. There's so many essential oils that are out there, but those are just ones that I kind of picked that could be definitely helpful. Hi Fiona, how are you? So good to see you. I hope all is well. We're just plugging along here talking about postpartum depression, which is very, very, is so important that we talk about it and we recognize it. Okay, so another thing that you can do, now that's kind of, I talked about herbal medicine, I talked about flower essence, and I talked about essential oils. Now I'm just going to talk about a supplement. A B complex is a really good supplement to take. It's shown to improve symptoms of anxiety and depression. Okay, so you want to like just pop a B complex. That would be really good. Also omega-3s, flaxseed, chia seeds, fish, cold water fish if you like that, or if you just want to take a fish oil supplement as well. Other things that you can do, I know if you have postpartum depression, sometimes it's really hard to take a step, out from what you're, doing. Sometimes it's just so hard to take that step. I did not experience postpartum depression, but I have experienced depression. And I understand sometimes when you're really, really, really sad, you don't even want to get out of bed. You don't even have the energy to do anything. And it's really, really hard. Definitely try and make sure that you tell somebody, talk to someone, and hopefully the people, and if it's not you, if you're not going through the depression part, if you're a family member or if you have a friend, make sure that you reach out to them, talk to them, get them help, and go over there, get them out of bed, get them dressed, and just start getting them moving. Go out for walks, maybe take the baby out in the stroller, go for a nice walk. I know that sometimes that could be hard too, but even if it's just around the block, just once, and then maybe twice around the block. Just keep getting out there. Exercise is good, even if it's just something like, yoga or something. Definitely start journaling, start writing, making sure. Another thing that's really, really important, especially after when you have a baby, you're like working 24/7 now, okay? So you want to make sure that you take time for yourself, and whether that's your partner saying, okay, take the baby for like a couple of hours. I'm gonna go for a walk myself. I'm gonna go, who knows, just take a couple of hours for yourself. Go get a massage. That would be my thing. Or a pedicure. I love getting my toes done. But make sure that you take time out for yourself, or even if it's like date night, with your partner, making sure that you get away and take time for yourself, okay? And if you are really, breastfeeding, it decreases your risk. So really consider doing breastfeeding. It's beneficial for you. It's beneficial for the baby. And if you can do it for as long as you can, that's awesome. They say if you can do it up to a year, that would be beautiful. It doesn't happen for everyone. Sometimes it could be challenging to do breastfeeding, and I understand that. But if you thinking about it, definitely try it. It'll decrease your risk of getting postpartum depression. So that's about it, guys, for tonight. I'm really happy that I did this had this one, because I think that it's really important. We don't really talk about postpartum depression. It's always about the happy stuff when we're having a baby, and it is a happy time, but sometimes for some women, after the baby's born, it's a real struggle, and we need to recognize this. We need to help people, help women, help our fellow females, okay? Because, I'm all about women power, empowering each other. That's me. So let's make sure that we raise awareness and let people know that postpartum depression exists. It can be very severe, and we need to get those women help, okay? So next week is Memorial Day, and so I'm taking a break. So you will not see me for 2 weeks. I am sure that when I come back, I don't know what we'll be talking about in 2 weeks, but I am going to be taking a week off. I think this is my 24th episode, which I am so excited and so blessed that I've been doing this for this long. I'm having a great time doing it. I've definitely feel like I've improved the show with all my beautiful little stuff, and we've been having guests, and I'm going to be reaching out to some more people to have them on the show. But I am going to take a break for a week, and of course, you got the webs, you got the Facebook. If you have any questions or anything like that, make sure that you ask there, or go to womenshealthonthego.com, contact me there, sign up for our newsletter, and you get a free ebook on how to avoid the gynecologist, and it's full of good stuff, lots of great stuff. So make sure that you go over there. So have a great 2 weeks. I'm sure that I'll pop on and just say hello to everybody. And thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight. I appreciate it. And have a wonderful holiday week, and be safe and all that kind of fun stuff. So good night, everybody. Take care. Remember, women's health matters. Our bodies matter. So let's make sure we take care of ourselves. Take care, everyone.